Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Lynn and I've just started my Christmas crafting, and this is the first set of Christmas cards that I've made, and I knew for sure I wanted to get into this stamp and die set from Waffle Flowers. I purchased it when it was on sale from scrapbook.com. I don't know, it's probably been a couple months now, and this is the first time I've brought it out to use. So one of the things I really like about this set is that the stamp and die set, it has a pull tab mechanism, but you can get this add-on pop-up die set that gives your Christmas tree all these leaves and just makes it a little bit more dimensional and kind of fluffy. And so I've actually created 3 different cards using the stamps and dies in different ways. So one of the nice things about this set is that you can create anything from really simple cards to more interactive and elaborate cards. So on this first card here, I will just create a really simple card. You could actually stamp this directly onto your card base and have it be a completely flat card. But I'm working on a panel that I'm gonna die cut from and just layer a couple of mats and layers onto my card base. And I'm going for a bit of an ombre effect here with my pink inks from Altenew. And I started with my first stamping with just the light pink on top and the dark pink on the bottom. My second stamping was the light pink over the entire stamp. And subsequent stampings, I'm just adding the darkest pink just right at the bottommost edge, because every time you stamp, you're gonna darken that image a little bit. So even though I'm using the light pink all over the stamp, it will darken everything, and it has the nice effect of just helping to blend the ombre a little bit better. And it's not going to be perfect, but I think that's actually a nice look, because the blend between the two colors is a little bit more kind of organic, a little bit more almost has a more modeled look, and I think that works with this stamp set, which has sort of a very modern twist to the Christmas tree. And I like that the stamp has the word joy built into the design, but then you get additional stamps in the set as well, so you can add to the world, and as well there's a stamp that reads Merry Christmas. So I'll be just using this really simple embossing folder. It's from Sizzix, and it's just small polka dots, which I think having a nice simple geometric background for the stamp is nice, considering how modern the stamp set feels. It's not really your traditional Christmas tree, and it's part of the reason why I went very unconventional with the colors as well. So you can see I'm not really using your traditional Christmas colors, and I'm taking the die that would normally cut out your pull tab mechanism for your tree base, and I'm just trimming off the 2 sides where there's all the pull tab slits and everything. I'm just using it so that I can cut the nice tree shape. Now, normally if you were using the stamped tree image for the front of your pull tab mechanism, you would actually line it up so that the edges of where the score lines are actually right on the edge of your stamped image. But I rather like the white border, so I decided to position it such that you could see that white border. And I die cut myself a couple of different options for stars, because I wasn't exactly too sure what would look good against the blue panel, and I decided to go with this pink mirror card, which I think is from Tonic Studios. You saw me bring in my little bit box, and that's where I store all my little scraps of specialty paper that I feel too precious about to throw away. So here I'm using my 3D Collage glue gel to put adhesive on the center part of the tree, and I put regular liquid adhesive on the star and the two sides. So this way I get a little bit of dimension through the center of the tree. It's like a little bit beveled, a little bit curved, but the two sides are completely adhered down to the card front. And that 3D Collal glue gel does come sold as a kit with a syringe that you can use to apply the glue gel as well. And that's often helpful so that you can just squeeze in a little bit more glue where you need. So onto my second card. This one uses the little pop-up add-on to cut out these little tree leaves, and I brought it on a second ago, but if you didn't catch it, what I used earlier was Eileen's Tack It Over and Over liquid glue. This is a repositionable glue. So it works as a normal glue if you want to adhere things down permanently, but if you give the glue time to dry before you stick anything to it, then it dries tacky. And that way you can use it as a temporary hold, and as well for techniques like these where you adhere really light things like glitter or gilding flakes to it. And so I use it a lot in this way, and it's very similar to the Tombow two-way multi-purpose glue. It's just a lot more affordable than the Tombow glue. So the other thing that I've done in advance is I foiled a little Christmas sentiment onto the largest Christmas leaf. And I gave myself a couple of options. So I did Merry Christmas and Merry and Bright. The foil plates are actually glimmer foil plates from Spellbinders, but the actual hot foil is from Crafter's Companion, and it's their Aurora foil, which kind of has that sort of Aurora Borealis effect of different colors if you tilt it in different light. And also, I've already die cut my tree base, and the additional pull tab die set has a separate die that will cut out the little sort of those half moon cuts or slits that you would attach your tree leaves to. And this is the pull tab mechanism that comes in the original pull tab die set. And there's a little glue tab that you can adhere this little mechanism to. And the nice thing about this set is that it can operate as a pull tab that's pulled from the left or from the right. So if you know somebody who is left-handed, you can actually customize this so that the pull tab is pulled from the left, if that makes it easier for them. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and attach this. So if you're pulling, creating this so that it pulls from the right, then you can cut off that little glue tab that's on the right hand side because you won't need it there. And then I'm going to go ahead, before I get too much further along in the mechanism, I'm going to attach the little leaves here. And these do look a little bit nicer if you give your leaves a little bit of curvature. So I'm just using my bone folder to add a little curve to the leaves. And at the very top of each leaf, there's a little half circle, and you just fold the two flaps on the sides in so that you can slot it through the hole. And then from the back side, just flatten that out. And that'll lock those tabs in. And what's really nice is that even though it's locked into place, so it's not going to fall out from that tree base, there's still a lot of movement. So your tree kind of has a little bit of sway to it, which is really nice. Now this pull tab itself, what you want to do is actually push the glue tab through that center slot, because this pull tab, what it's going to do is it's actually going to pull that mechanism, that pop-up mechanism, so that it straightens up, and that's what pushes the tree outward and upward so that it has all that nice curvature and dimension. So once that's glued into place, and I do prefer to use a liquid glue, you do have to give it some time, burnish it really well, make sure that it grabs really well, and you have to be a little bit more careful not to get glue anywhere you don't want glue, because when you burnish, if you're using too much glue and it oozes out, it could stick places that you don't want it to. So you do have to be a little bit more careful, but ultimately it's going to have a nice permanent bond and it'll be really, really strong. So all I've done is just fold down that kind of zigzag pop-up mechanism so that it folds flat, and I've glued that down to my tree. So as I create interactive cards, I always try to test my mechanism as I go. So if you want to test before you glue all of this down, just hold those two flaps at the bottom, the back and the bottom of the tree, and then you can pull. And that just ensures that as you're going along that everything is going to work correctly before you actually put this onto your card. So I'm going to go ahead and attach my star, and then we'll close up the tree itself. So to close your tree, you just need to apply glue at the that top triangle portion of the back. So you'll see there's only this one section that overlaps the two halves. That's where you want to put your adhesive, just to close up the back of that. And then once you have that good burnish, by the way, I'm using 65-pound cardstocks. That's what I mean by like testing your mechanism. You can just pinch, hold right at the bottom there, and then pull to test. So as I was saying, I'm using 65-pound cardstock for my blue cardstock, the tree, and that's because it's nice and light, so it'll curve really nicely and easily, because thicker cardstock will have a harder time bending and having a really nice curve. You'll have to pull really hard to get it to bend. But for the actual mechanism, like the pull tab and the little pop-up piece, I'm using 120-pound cardstock because you want those pieces to feel really sturdy, especially the pull tab, because when you're pulling on it, you don't want that pull tab to feel like it's bending. And here I realized as I was testing that I glued that top portion on a little crooked, and it was overlapping the bottom portion a little. So I just trimmed a little bit off. That way I can get glue just onto this bottom portion here. And that's what's going to adhere down to our card base. And that's the only place you want to put glue. You don't want to put glue at the top, because that top portion needs a little bit of room to kind of move as your tree sort of pops up once it's pulled. Now, the nice and sort of unique aspect of this pop-up mechanism or pull tab mechanism is that you can pull it, and then there's actually a slot that's on the pull tab itself that you can actually lock into the tree and keep your tree open. And I found that super helpful to lock it into place so that it's nice and open while I burnished down the tree to my card base. So that is pretty much nearly complete. I'm taking one of my spare Christmas tree leaves and just die cut a little circle. This die does come in the set. And that's so that you can actually put a little bit of color behind where that arrow is on the pull tab to bring a little bit more attention to it, so that whoever gets this card will notice it and know that they need to pull that in order to have something happen. Now, in terms of the locking mechanism, I don't know how obvious that is. I don't think it's too obvious that that is a feature, but I think it's still a really nice feature to have. So on my final card here, I'm actually going to combine elements of the first and the second card. So my card front is going to look a lot like my first card, where I did that ombre stamping, and this time I'm using more traditional Christmas colors, so green and red. And this is just my homemade shimmer pen, just to add a little bit of sparkle to my star, since that's just plain cardstock. And I'm going to attach this in the exact same way that I did on my first card, using just liquid glue on the star and along the two sides, and then using my 3D Collage glue gel in the center. And it's really nice using this glue gel, because unlike foam pads, you can really make as large of a blob of glue as you like. And so you can get variation in dimension if you want, whereas foam pads just have, they're flat. They're just that one dimension all the way across. Plus, I like being able to glue the sides down so that you can't really see underneath from the sides. Okay, so now with our tree, I'm actually going to put it on the inside of my card, and I'm going to use the mechanism of just opening your card to pull the tree up. So instead of having the card recipient physically have to pull something, all they have to do is open the card, and that's going to pull our tab. So what's different in this case is I'm attaching my pull tab so that it pulls from the left, because it's the left half of the card that is going to be pulling on this. So I've just got this, I'm pausing it here so that you can see I've got this extra just scrap piece of cardstock that's 120 pound, and I'm putting some glue on here, and I'll be attaching this to the pull tab that is cut from this die set. So you can see right there. That just extends this, because the original pull tab from the die set is not long enough to extend over onto the left side of the card. Now, I was sort of figuring this out for the first time, so I don't have exact measurements, but I think that little scrap piece that I cut is about 1/2 inch tall, and lengthwise, I think it's a safe bet if you go with something around 4 inches, but I was sort of just using a scrap, so I don't know the exact measurement. But I do know that I scored a little glue tab at, I think it was 5/8 of an inch. But again, that can be whatever you like. I would definitely use at least 1/2 inch of a glue tab. And so here I'm gonna, just like I did with the previous card, I'm gonna adhere the tree down to the inside of my card and really give that a good burnish. And as you saw, I only put glue on that bottom section there. And I like to get this in place so that here I'll pause it so that you can see the mechanism and how I've extended the glue tab with this additional pull tab that will get glued down to the left side of my card. And you can see how as it's pulled, it's going to straighten that middle section. So that's how this works. So when you go to adhere this, you want to pull the tab so that it's pull on the tab so that your tree is fully open, because when the card is open, you want that tree to be fully extended. So I just gave myself a couple marks so that I can figure out how far that needs to get adhered. What I didn't realize when I was first creating that extra little pull tab extension is that it actually needs a second score line. So you need one score line to create a glue tab, and I'm going to pause it here. And then you need a second score line so that pull tab extension can actually fold down along with your card, because it's just a straight piece, but it's a straight piece that's going across the fold of your card. So you actually need to include a fold in that as well. And I had already glued it to my the pull tab that's already stuck to the tree, so I couldn't get another score line in. I was trying to figure out a way to do it, but in the end, all I did was just kind of gently started to close down my card to get that extra fold. So, sorry if I don't have exact dimensions on that, but it's one of those things where, because the die set isn't specifically designed for that, I had to just kind of feel around and just kind of figure it out as I was going. So here's a final recap of all of my cards, and I think this is a really, really fun Stampin' die set, and if it's still available, hopefully on sale even from scrapbook.com, I'll go ahead and link it in the description box below. But I definitely think it's one that's really special and will make a lot of fun Christmas cards. I'm starting out with just these 3, but I might make more just because this was such a fun and pretty easy card to put together as well. And so here's a final look at that pop-up card. So you can see as I open this, you'll see there's that additional fold that I had to put in. It was about an inch from where my glue tab is. So you can see there, see how there's that extra little fold. I kind of, as I mentioned, I just started to fold my card to see where it naturally wants to bend. And then I just tried to reinforce that fold and burnish it as best I could after the fact. So I may try that again and get some measurements, and I'll go ahead and link to a blog post for this too. And if I make this again with the actual measurements, I'll update the blog post to have those. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking, commenting, and sharing. And if you want to see future videos, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Thank you again, and until my next video, happy crafting and have a fantastic day. Bye.